sponsors, thank you so much for and then we have Joomla Shack and Stack Ideas and Fabric and Monarchs and SiteLock and Tech Joomla and OSN. Okay, and then there's like 1,000 community ones, so we'll just go with that. I think we covered all the major ones. Thank you so much, guys. A couple of bits of housekeeping. The after party starts at 6 p.m. at First Chance, Last Chance, which is
right off of 7th Avenue. If you see the 7-Eleven to the right, they do have a website. I think we all have a good website, so they have a map on there. First Chance, Last Chance, Ybor.
excellent. And what else, housekeeping-wise? We will be doing the prize drawings right after Mike's presentation. Also want to make sure we thank all the other volunteers and speakers who have helped put this together. A lot of people coming around their own time, obviously, to help expand the community, talk about community and volunteers and tech and AR and security and business. So let's give everyone who's and it is my pleasure to introduce Mike Demopoulos, who prefers just to go by Demo. I like to say his name because it bothers him. Mike is our Open Source Matters treasurer. He's been an active and invaluable member of the community for a very long time. I'll keep it short and simple because we all want to drink. Let's get up to Mike.
How's everyone doing today?
All right.
Good. Excellent. Way more people than at my closing keynote last year. Who was at the closing keynote last year? Well, pretty good. But awesome. So this is two sides of the same coin. Yes, it's the same title as the last year. And no, it's not negative. This talk has evolved over the last year. It started at JoomlaDay, Texas, and then came to Florida, and then I've given out a lot of WordCamps. This talk is about open source. Who am I? What the hell am I doing up here? You've seen me before. I didn't have to MC this time, so that's nice. I'm an evangelist for a company that's called BoldGrid. Anyone here have heard of BoldGrid? No, a couple people. We make WordPress plugins. How did he get in here? And he's the treasurer of Joomla?
You're not coming to the after party.
So that's why we have no money. I get it. No, seriously, I love open source. I started in the Joomla community, and I think tools are tools. I don't give a shit what tool you use. Tools are agnostic. If you like WordPress, use WordPress. If you love Joomla, use Joomla. If you use both for different use cases, great. That's what they're there for. If you use Drupal, excellent. I highly recommend you go to different communities. Go to JavaScript events. Go to PHP events. Go to other events because you will meet amazing people. Because at the end of the day, it's just people. And that's the cool part about this. I'm also a Huffington Post contributor, husband, video game lover, former Disney cast member, and yes, I understand where I am, and in other places, people give a shit. I am also a dog daddy. I travel full time. What do I do? Why do I do it? I am on the road full time. I go to Hard Rocks a lot. I didn't even leave your airport before I went to my first Hard Rock. And this visit, and I am not exaggerating, I had lunch at the Hard Rock Tampa airport before I even left the airport. That's my dog. Her name is Balana. For those of you that get the reference, congratulations, you're a geek. The second one is from WordCamp EU. I go to a lot of WordCamps because, you know, we're a WordPress company. And that's me at a college, talking to college students about open source over in Rhode Island. I travel full time. I traveled 179 nights last year. I was in a hotel room. I still have a wife, I think. And why do I do this is because I love community. I love connecting with people. And that's why I like my title as an evangelist. I might not have the cool title as open source community manager, Adam, but I love my thing as a community. Let's give Adam a round of applause. You got a promotion. It's no longer an evangelist. Yeah, so he's very proud, very, very proud of that title, and corrects me every time I still call him evangelist. So, first of all, why am I here? This talk is licensed under WTFPL version 2. For those of you that don't know what that is, look it up. It's basically the do whatever the fuck you want license. So you can do whatever you want with this talk. It's completely licensed, and it's out there for that. So this talk is also inspired. This talk was first done as an opening keynote at WordCamp Phoenix. This version of it, I should say. It was on International Internet Day. And this talk was kind of centered around this. Ellen DeGeneres quoted, "Happy National Cat Day" for International Internet day. That's not an excuse to watch test videos on the internet. I don't know what is. And that's the whole part, is that the internet makes up so much more than tools. The internet isn't Joomla. The internet isn't WordPress. The internet is people, and that is why we're here, is to be able to communicate and do people. So, as I'm quoting somebody who's in this room, Jessica Dunbar, the Concrete 5 evangelist, as she said once, I'm not dating a CMS, I'm in an open source relationship. Is Jessica still in the room? Yeah, she's right there. Oh, perfect. So she said that at the Merge conference, I believe, in Orlando last year. And I've used this and I've shared it to tens of thousands of people. So she's internet famous, as it were. I really like that quote. That really stuck with me, and that is the antithesis of why we're here and do what we do. And that's kind of what I talk about. Because everyone looks at open source like craft. It's craft beer, it's handmade, it's made by volunteers, we're not going to sell it to the man. Thank you, the sponsors. Which we're sponsored too, so I can't really say a lot. But everyone kind of looks at open source as this handcrafted thing, and a lot of people kind of look at open source as hippies. Free software, free love, no money involved. That's how a lot of people in the open source communities look at this stuff, and I don't understand why. Because, it's free as in speech. It's not free as in beer, it's free as in speech. The purpose of open source is freedom of speech, freedom to do what you want with your content. Open source doesn't necessarily mean no cost. There are high cost to open source projects. Joomla has a very, very high annual budget, lower than other projects. And if you'd like to contribute, please go to joomla.org and please contribute to the Joomla project. Not tax deductible, by the way, just in case you're wondering that. But I mean, seriously, there's all this free speech that we can do, and we can share whatever we want on the internet. Think about that. We don't have to deal with a publisher. We can say whatever we want on the internet. WordPress's mission statement is to democratize publishing. That's how they started. Joomla's mission statement is to empower website creators. And I know I'm butchering that a little bit, sorry my fellow board members. But it's to empower website creators. We have the ability to change the internet. We have the ability to start revolutions due to these awesome tools that we are building for free. And it is a little bit hippie, but it's also more, I think, more exciting with this sort of stuff. We love open source. We love open source. Who here loves open source? Awesome. Everyone loves open source. Woo, open source. I use Linux. I really don't. Everyone loves open source. But here's the thing. We only love our open source. Open source people are very, very cocky, and they're very, very protective over their projects. And I get it. It's like the Olympics. Everyone's looking at the medal count. How many medals does USA have? How many medals does Brazil have? How many medals does Canada have? The UK? And all that stuff. Everyone cares. Everyone wants to be part of a winning team. So here's how people in the Joomla community look at the big open source projects. Joomla, it's amazing. 5 stars out of 5. That's great. WordPress, sure. If you need a blog, I guess you can use that. Drupal, no. I tried Drupal once. Doesn't look like a CMS to me. CNN, yes, it's still a thing. What are we going to do? But all these projects are just tools. They're just tools. We always focus on the tool set, and we like to be part of a winning team, so much so that it changes our attitude. How many times, do we say things like, oh, WordPress sucks, or Drupal sucks, or that's awful, and that's that. And what we do is we tell lies to ourselves. We lie to ourselves. How I got my current job is I ran into somebody when I was working at the Joomla booth as a volunteer at HostingCon in New Orleans, with Jay actually. We tell lies to ourselves. Oh, well, WordPress is blah, 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 and Drupal is blah, blah, blah. We tell these half-truths because we like to make ourselves feel better. But I think us competing is wrong. Because guess what? Joomla is just people. That's all we are, is people. All the people in this room, all the thousands and thousands of volunteers, the hundreds of thousands of man-hours, the billions of dollars of volunteer effort into this project in man-hours that got put. Joomla wouldn't exist without people. And so much so that, we even have, a little song, like I Love You Joomla. Actually not Jonathan Mann, it's Soren, that name got wrong. I would normally play the video here, but we don't have audio, so I'm not going to worry about that. But Soren Beck Jensen wrote this song, I Love You Joomla. It's not Jonathan Mann, I apologize for that. But it's just people. But who else is people? WordPress is people. this is an open source project. They're all volunteers. They have 0 paid staff on their project as well. Now they do have a different organizing structure of Automatic that has some paid staff on there, similar to Drupal also having Acquia. It's just a different project. It doesn't mean it's better or worse, it's just different. I love Joomla. I started on Mongo. I built thousands of Joomla sites. I also built hundreds of WordPress sites. I built a Drupal site. That was enough for me. But it doesn't mean Drupal's bad. Tools are tools. I don't give a shit what tool you use. I care more about open source. Because you know what's at risk? You know what's at risk for open source? And WordPress has a song too. Do the Wapuu Shuffle. That's Jonathan Mann. Wapoo's the cute little character for WordPress. Joomla had a mascot contest. I think we might be starting it again, maybe? Sometimes? I don't know. We might be. If you have a good idea for a mascot, join the marketing team. Because Wapoo's worked really well for him. You know, and Drupal's just people. There's even a Drupal song. It's called the Drupal Song. It was live at DrupalCon San Francisco by those people. And you know what matters? Is open source is people. That's all we are. Every project we touch. You know what? Joomla wouldn't exist without other open source projects. We wouldn't exist without PHP. We wouldn't exist without Java. There's all these projects, Apache, all these dependencies that are, some are open source, some are not, that we rely on. We wouldn't exist if it wasn't for other people. I'm amazed how many times clients tell me, I need a fully custom website. Then I explain what open source is and why their website is so much more affordable than if they're building everything from scratch. We rely so much on open source, but we forget about it. We focus so much on ourselves. We want to be part of a winning team. We care most about being number one, because you don't like feeling like you're a loser. You want to make sure you're number one. Well, Joomla has some amazing freaking stats that I'm going to show later that we never talk about. We're so focused on, well, WordPress is bigger, Joomla is smaller, we're screwed, or how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to take down WordPress? That's the wrong strategy to have. You know, all open source projects, all open source content management systems are losing market share to the whole internet every single year, WordPress included. You want to know why? Wix, Weebly, Squarespace. Those are just tools. But if you would say what the 3 most popular website tools on the internet are, you'd probably say, oh, WordPress, Joomla, Drupal. If you look at numbers, it's WordPress, private solution, private solution, private solution, Joomla, private solution, Drupal. We are losing market share every single year to the closed source SaaS solutions. There's also an open source song too. Because guess what? Open source matters. And yes, that is the name of the legal entity of the Joomla project. But I think it means more than Joomla. There's a reason why it's not called Joomla, it's called Open Source Matters. Partly because Joomla wasn't a name when Open Source Matters was formed. But I think there's more to that, because open source does matter. Open source can change revolutions, can change the internet. Closed source doesn't have that power. You can take Joomla today, take out the name, take out the branding, and launch a brand new CMS today. You can fork it. Joomla started as a fork. We started as a fork of Mongo. And forks aren't bad. I am so sick of people saying, oh, well, this core contributor is going to fork and then we're screwed. Go fork yourself. Seriously, why is that bad? We built software that's meant to be shared and used and adapted, and we're freaking scared of people sharing it and using it and adapting it. Why are we scared of this? This is why we built open source software. If we wanted full control over all software, we wouldn't make it open source. It's why it exists, and I feel like I'm going through puberty. I swear, you talk for a little. And we contribute to things like CMS Garden. Anyone here know what CMS Garden is? A couple people? CMS Garden is a nonprofit entity based in Germany. They do work around the world that all the major open source content management systems contribute to. They give money and volunteer hours. And you know what they do? They go to enterprise events. Like CloudFest, the largest hosting cloud event on the planet. In Germany, in Brüst. if anyone wants a great event in Germany, please make sure you go to CloudFest. I can get you a free ticket, but you have to get yourself there. It's at Europa Park. It's a theme park. Boldrid's the roller coaster sponsor, so yeah, that's kind of fun. But CMS Garden is going to be there. You know what they do is they talk to enterprise. They talk at enterprise conferences and say, hey, Mr. Fortune 500, you don't need to use a closed source system. You can use an open source system. You can take the code and build it. You don't have to be locked away. You don't have to give up your rights. And it's so powerful. And like, there's so many CMSs that you know of and those that you don't. In alphabetical order, there's Alchemy CMS. It's a great little CMS. Contacto. I am going to mispronounce these names because I don't know all of them. Back to CMS. These are all members of the CMS Garden. These all give money and contribution to this nonprofit that only cares about open source first. Not their individual brands, open source. So you know what they do? They have this cool garden set up and everyone wears like a gardening smock and a hat. And every CMS has a rep. And they're like, oh my God, you're a college education? Go talk to Scientific CMS. They'll be perfect for you. Whatever the case is. And they are friends. Yeah, they are volunteer for multiple projects and they're friends. How can that be? Jay, when I was telling him I was going to do BoldGrid, you would have acted like I was going to sign a deal with the devil. He's like, Demo, you can't do this. Joomla needs you. You can't give up Joomla. You can't do both. And I'm like, why? It was so much of a sticking point for me that Joomla means so much to me. In my contract, I put that I would still be able to be a core contributor to the Joomla project. It meant that much to me. And they're like, sure, we don't care, tools are tools. This CMS, not going to pronounce it. Django CMS, another great little CMS. Drupal, an amazing CMS. And here's the thing that Drupal has an amazing niche. They focus on enterprise, and they do a really good job at it. Is it the right solution for everyone? No. Is it the right solution for some projects? Yes. We keep trying to force every project into being Joomla only. You know what? Sometimes if you're building a full application, maybe you shouldn't build it on top of a CMS. Maybe you should build it off a framework. Now, Joomla does have the Joomla platform. That's the current name for it. Framework, the Joomla framework, that you can use with that and make it kind of a headless application so you don't use the CMS layer. But there are so many cool ways to use this stuff. Easy CMS, and then there's Joomla. You know, who remember this little guy? The Joomla is out there, and we have a marketing issue, and we need volunteers. You know, when we go to these hosting conferences, people are like, oh, Joomla's still a thing? I didn't think it's still a thing. And we're talking to people that own hosting companies. If you look at the numbers, Joomla is still the second most popular open source CMS, but Drupal kicks our ass in marketing. Now, they do have a sister, different legal entity, and they have a lot more funding. So again, Joomla.org, please donate, help the project. And if you don't have money, give your hours, give your time. There is not a single person in this room that can't get back to the Joomla project somehow. If you need help getting connected with somebody, Dr. Sonder, he's the guy in the green, they'll definitely get you hooked up, or any of us that are currently volunteers. Open CMS, another great CMS. Papaya, Clone, Red Axo, Scientific CMS. Scientific CMS is very interesting. I think MIT was the school that started it. It was one of the teaching universities. And it's a CMS meant specifically for scientific data sharing. Joomla probably shouldn't be the best use for that case. They have a CMS custom built for that very specific user. Is that bad? No, that's great. Now we can take this tool and you can integrate it with Joomla. There's a company called Core PHP in Michigan. They built two products, one that's called WordPress for Joomla, and one that's called Drupal for Joomla. It allows you to use any Joomla widget in any WordPress widget in any Joomla module position. And I'd be like, why in hell would I ever want to do that? The fact is, it's possible because it's open source. I actually built a real estate site where I needed that exact user case. Century 21 only had a WordPress extension, and I used the WordPress modules inside of an existing Joomla site. It was a bitch to optimize that sucker, but it's possible. They also did one for Drupal, and that's exciting that you can play with this stuff. Typo 3, another great CMS, Imbako, and then WordPress. A lot of people like to give WordPress crap. But you know what WordPress is about to launch? They're about to launch something called Gutenberg. And Gutenberg is going to change the CMS area forever. They're trying to bring the Wix, Weebly, Squarespace experience into WordPress. You might agree or disagree with the direction they're going, but it's their project, and they have every right to do that. You know what else Joomla has done? Joomla has also influenced all these CMSs. We were the first major open source CMS to mandate PHP 7. You know what that does to the industry? You know what it does to the host and say, hey, for a security reason, this is our line in the sand. It is irresponsible not to run PHP 7 on your server, but a lot of hosts still didn't do it. So Joomla said, we're going to force it. And now a lot of these hosts support PHP 7. Does that mean we might lose some users? Possibly. But you know what that does? Is it makes the web a safer place for all of these other brethren in this open source CMS project that we have. And Joomla has some amazing stats. It's not dead. Of all business websites on the internet, Joomla makes up 9%. 9% of all business websites. Think about that. I am sick of the, well, we power 2.3% of the internet or 3%. I don't care. 9%, 1 out of every 10 business websites are powered on Joomla. These are the numbers that we need to be sharing, that we need to be shouting. And you know what Joomla's not good at? Blogs. Look at this. Joomla makes up 0.1% of all blogs out there. WordPress has started as a blog platform. It's a wonderful platform for that. They do a great job at that. And we have a great option for business websites and other websites. Everyone has a user case. There's room for everything. But if you look at this, look at the rest of it. Wix, 5%, Squarespace, 4%. Then it's Drupal, then GoDaddy Website Builder, and then some open source. If you look at the blog market, you have open source, non-open source, non-open source, non-open source, non-open source, non-open source, open source, open source, open source, not open source. If you think Wix, Weebly, and Squarespace is not taking the internet away, you're sorely mistaken. And that is what the big boogeyman in the room is. Because open source comes first. Open source matters above anything else. So stop hating on WordPress. Stop hating on Drupal. Stop acting like Joomla's superior because you want to be cocky, feel like you're a winner, and not feel like you're part of a losing team. You're not part of a losing team. You are part of a larger team. We all are. For the internet. The future of the internet is at stake. And our infighting with the projects is not going to do us any favors. Concrete 5 is another amazing open source CMS. They are not part of the CMS Garden, which is why they weren't on that list. But so, please check them out. And their mandate is they're the CMS that your client would want to use. They have a very intuitive system, and it's pretty cool. It might work for certain use cases. Check it out. But open source comes first. Because open source matters. And it really does. And it should come above anything else. And I think that is really my calling card. I speak at WordCamps almost weekly. And you know how many times I mention Joomla? Every single week. I've had people that work at Automatic, in the company that operates WordPress.com, the for-profit arm, say, oh my God, I didn't know those stats. I didn't even know about these other CMSs. I didn't know Joomla was still a thing. I've worked very hard at trying to say open source first, and that's why I call myself an open source evangelist. And I hope you guys will join me. And please, please think about this, because we're not competing with each other. We're competing with the closed source options. So thank you so much. Definitely appreciate it.